and ageing infrastructure after 9 long years of underinvestment.
Question number 5, the Honourable Judith Collins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, how many houses owned or managed by Housing New Zealand were vacant on 31 August 2018?
The Honourable Phil Twyford.
Mr Speaker, there were 722 long-term vacant state houses in August. Of these, 285 are undergoing major repairs or upgrades, and 215 homes are being redeveloped as part of the government's build program. Additionally, there are 382 state houses vacant because they are in between tenancies or being repaired. There are a further 169 where their leases have expired or they are about to be demolished for redevelopment or are beyond repair. We're committed to keeping the number of vacant homes as low as possible while we build a net additional 6,400 public houses. The vacancy rate was as high as 3,540, or 1 in 20 homes under the previous government. It's now down to 1 in 50.
How many families are on the Housing New Zealand waiting list for those houses?
There are approximately 8,500 people currently on the waiting list, but the turnaround time to get families into state houses has been steadily decreasing. At the end of June 2016, the average turnaround time was 38 days. At the end of June 2017, it was 34 days. And at the end of June 2018, it was down to 19 days.
How many of those families on the waiting list of around 8,500 families for a vacant Housing New Zealand house are living in temporary housing such as motels?
If the member wants to put that question down in writing, I'd be happy to answer it. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Why are there around 1,400 empty state houses when there is a waiting list of, he says, 8,500 Kiwi families for those houses?
Well, after inheriting a housing crisis after 9 years of neglect and the sell-off of 5,000 state houses, we've got a lot of ground to make up. But I'll say this, our government will not sit around and leave as many as 400 state houses boarded up and lying vacant due to bogus methamphetamine standards.
Still are empty. Why, since he has been the minister for around a year, are there people still having to sleep in cars when there are 1,400 empty state houses?
Well, Mr Speaker, we are investing $4 billion in building 6,400 extra state houses. We stopped the mass sell-off of state houses. We've actually funded and built nearly 2,400 emergency housing places around this country and rolled out Housing First to half a dozen new centres. It took 9 years of neglect to allow the housing crisis to spin out of control. After 9 months, I think we've done pretty well.
Order. Can I just remind people in the galleries that you've got to stay out of it?
Point of order. Mr Speaker, I don't believe that the Minister addressed the question, which is why, when he's been the Minister for almost a year, there are still 1,400 empty state houses and people having to sleep in cars rather than those state houses.
Well,
We've got a long diatribe.
I think that the answer certainly addressed and probably came close to answering the question.
All right. Point supplementary. Why are there 1,400 empty state houses when he says that there were empty state houses under National and he has stated previously they should not have been empty? Why is it okay for them to be empty now?
Well, not only do we have a lot to catch up on after 9 years of neglect, but we have reduced the number of vacant state houses from 1 in 20 under that government to 1 in 50 in 9 months.
question number 6, the Honourable Porter Bennett.
Thank you. To the Minister of Employment.